All right, welcome everybody to the Get Up and Scale podcast. We are doing live, well, it's not live, but in-person interviews.
It is live right now for us.
For us, it's always live.
But when you're listening, it's not live.
It's not live. No. We're at the Arival Conference, which is a cool conference for tour and activity operators, doing lightning interviews, as we're calling 15-minute segments from some of the most interesting entrepreneurs who have scaled their business. Really excited to have Pete Kootsikas.
Kootsikas, close enough though.
Kootsikas, very Greek name, legend in the tour industry. Happy to have him on the show and do a quick interview. I'm excited for Justin to get to know him a little better. I've known Pete, or known of Pete, for 12 years now, probably 13 years.
For sure.
When I first got it started up, like Pete was like the big dog.
How did you guys meet? Do you remember the first time?
My best friend in college is
Cousin
Pete's
Tommy.
alleged cousin.
Oh, really?
I just found out 2 years ago is a fiction.
Oh.
Well, in the Greek world, if you're really close to somebody, they become a cousin.
Okay.
So I was unaware of
Yes.
that. I thought they were.
I would. Yeah.
Not blood related, but
That's funny.
we refer to each other as cousins.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny. So he knew you were in tourism. Knew he
Well,
was in tourism.
it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
Tommy gave me the idea for Trolley Pub, and we started up with Tommy, had a falling out, but connected me with Pete right away because I knew he had just started up in Nashville, and that's kind of, over the years, we've kept up with each other,
Yeah, man.
So what do you do? Tell us about your tours.
So we have Nashville Pedal Tavern, which is party bikes, obviously. Started that in 2010, and then we moved into the retail space back in 2016, and we started a little shop selling, back then, clothes that were just offered online from the really small local pop-ups that were happening. We started a brick and mortar for all of them to sell candles and shirts and whatever. But then rent got a little crazy, and I think our landlord raised our rent from $3,000 a month to $10,000. And we just said, okay, we're just going to close this business down. And we had just purchased our property, so it was like, okay, we can just transfer what we have left of inventory over and just sell it in our store, and that worked out fine. Then we moved into the boat pontoon space. We've been doing that since 2017 or 2018.
Still in Nashville?
Still in Nashville, out on Percy Priest.
What type of boats?
They're double-decker pontoons. One of my business partners, Brian, he custom designed the frame and then went to, I don't know which pontoon maker. That was a whole dramatic thing. At the time,
Trust me, I know.
at the time, the pontoon maker was like one of the most reputable in the country, and all of a sudden, we stopped hearing from them and getting updates from them about the build out of the frame. And he took a drive up to, I think it was in Ohio or Indiana, I can't remember.
It's got to be Solid Craft, right?
I don't know, but he showed up at the factory.
He doesn't want to say.
I honestly don't know. Because Brian dealt with the whole thing, and he went and visited the facility. He interviewed all the different places that could potentially make them. And when he went to this place, he said they had a full factory. They have parking lot full of pontoons, cars for all the employees. And then when he went back up to see what was going on, why they weren't responding to us, he's like, there were no pontoons in the parking lot. There were like 3 cars there. And we found out that whatever company it was essentially bankrupt because the owner of the business was taking down payments from people and using it personally, and all of a sudden all these people were without their boats. But we had the majority of our frame built, so he found a way. I think it took.
Well, he went in there and took it?
No, I think we filed a lawsuit pretty quickly just to get in line with everything, and that got them kind of in gear to at least push our frame through. So we got that frame done through that facility. Then I don't know where he does them now, honestly, but yeah, they build the frames, they ship them up to Nashville, and then Gleason finishes them.
So it's bikes and boats now. Is there anything else?
Yeah, we got.
And retail. Is there still retail, or?
We have the retail within our current footprint of our property now. So we run the pedal bikes and the boats, and we have a boutique shopping tour experience that we do. all out of our downtown Nashville location.
And when he says he does bikes, this is amongst the largest party bike operations in the country. It is a major party bike market for sure.
It's pretty crazy, and even our competitors are very large.
Yeah.
When you started, what did that look like? Was there a lot of competitors? Were you one of the first to do it? What did that look like?
We were the fourth in the country to start. It was Minneapolis, then Milwaukee, Austin, and us essentially were 1 day apart. We were technically supposed to launch before them in 2010, but then the river flooded and Broadway was under like 3 feet of water. So 2010, we were supposed to start in May, ended up launching in October. When I drove the first tour down there, Broadway is not what it is today. It was a Friday night, and I parked the bike on Broadway and stood there for a half hour, and not a single person walked by me on the sidewalk.
Crap.
It's crazy.
I was right across the street from Tootsie's, too.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I went to Nashville like a year ago, and I'm just like, I can't even. It was like a Tuesday at like 11 a.m., and there was people everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Since 2012 or so, once the Music City Center got built, it's been insane. Probably constantly 15 to 25 cranes, I would guess, just in the city skyline building something. And
You got in at the right time.
Every
Yeah,
time you
that's
go, there's
crazy.
something new that's up and operating, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, we did that, and at one point too, we got into transitional housing for people coming out of rehab. We had a couple employees who had gone through rehab before, and they said there was there was a big void.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah,
like
there's
halfway houses, or
Yeah,
what do you call them? Or?
transitional. They're coming out of rehab, and the goal of those houses is to keep the community tight, but
Sober
make it
houses.
smaller. Yeah. So at the time, the state laws in Tennessee allow them to have these houses that are too small for 8 people to live in, and our 2 employees were like, we want to do something about this. We want to change the way this is, because it's not good right now for people to go through and have success. So we kind of said, okay, let's buy the biggest houses we can possibly buy that fit 8 people comfortably and have like a rec room. So we got up to 3 houses, but the problem was we grew way too fast, and we didn't have any infrastructure, and it was extremely stressful. So the 2 guys that were the face of the business, that were interacting with everybody, they were getting calls at literally all hours of the day from people who were living there, their family members.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a small undertaking.
No, it was very intense.
And a lot of regulations.
I think we should have just bought one house and stuck with that and figured out our systems and built out from there. But we just had so much demand because everybody was so excited about the style of house and the way it worked and the space, and everybody was happy that was living there, and they would tell their other friends that went to other houses, and we had a huge waiting list. So we're like, well, let's keep going. But we grew too fast, so became too stressful. So we just exited the market in Nashville. The housing market had exploded, so
You probably did just fine.
we did fine. Yeah, it turned out a-okay. It was a good 2-year run, but it was time to move on. We jumped into the Polaris Adventures for a little bit. That was very complicated, but we gave it a good run between working with a giant corporation that has their way of doing things and their processes, and how a small business needs to operate and function are like very different. And then
That was like the slingshot rentals and all that sort of stuff?
And you factor in COVID and their supply chains and all the issues they were having just delivering vehicles to us on time and parts when things would break down. It was tough. And originally we wanted to make it bigger and go get land outside of Nashville and do like a big RV track or not RV, the quad track and razors. But it didn't quite work out, so we parted ways with that one last year, and this year we purchased a tap truck business. So we bought a business with 3 units. They're like Airstreams with tap lines built through it, and we do weddings and corporate events.
Yeah, I
and
saw
stuff
that on
like
social media.
cool.
It's a great idea.
So is this all under the same brand, or are you like creating multiple
So,
brands here? How does that work?
I mean, I knew nothing about business when I got into business, so
Same.
I did it all backwards, man.
Yeah,
It would have been great if I had some like, oh yeah, we could build the hold co, we could do all these cool things, but we did it so backwards, and now we're kind of like trying to reverse engineer it.
We did the same thing when we grew, yeah.
As you know, it's complicated to reverse
Because then
engineer
you have
something.
cap tables, and you have to get everyone to agree to blend in, and yeah, it's rough.
So
Brett will tell you, you saw us trying to do that, and it took us.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a full-time job. Just
We tried to
making that happen.
reconsolidate all of our entities, but we got it done, but it was hard.
yeah, I don't know if we'll get to that point, because right now it's fairly simple to kind of build it and leave it the way it is for the time being and get the systems and processes built in around everything. So I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Don't you have like a brewery too?
So I started angel investing.
So you're investing in other business, yeah.
Yeah, in 2014. So I that was my first big investment outside of myself, was Udapil's Brewery in Minnesota. So did that. Another fun one, invested in Brother Justice Whiskey Distillery up in Minnesota too. And then the rest of the stuff isn't quite as exciting, but they're all very interesting and unique in their own way. People seem to really get excited about beer and whiskey for some reason.
That's so cool. It sounds like you're always like trying to look for something new or different, or maybe even utilizing your current skill set to just branch out into new things. It's
Yeah, I have shiny object syndrome. I get distracted extremely easily, and
I think all three of us can
Yeah.
relate to that,
Yeah.
probably.
we're all in that
But
boat.
you seem to actually like do
execute
all
on
the
it.
things. Yeah, that's
A lot
which
of
is cool.
people have that syndrome and don't get the execution part of it down, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
but executing is different than doing it. There's a lot of things I've just done, but they didn't work. So if I fully executed, I would have made it work. But yeah.
What's your approach? Like when you get a new concept, kind of like what's your playbook
Oh man,
for getting it done, right? The execution part.
it's literally you have to go try it and do it, and see what works and see what doesn't work. And there's things that we've tried where this is definitely going to work, and then you go out and it seems to work in your mind still, but then people don't adapt to it, or they don't like it, or they don't want to do it, or when you do try it, it actually doesn't work. So everything is always good in your mind. So
Yeah.
you gotta actually go out and try it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a tough thing for me sometimes, even just changing something within the franchises, like trying to get all of the franchisees bought into it, right? And like explaining the vision, like it's always in my head of like, I know what the vision is, but like I sometimes forget to explain to everyone. Like,
Well, do you
this is what I'm trying to
ever
do.
have a hard time explaining what's in your mind?
That too, yes.
Because I have that sometimes where I can see it in my head and I'm like, oh
How do I put words behind
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I have that for sure.
But it's always an adventure.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what drives you? Like what's brought you from Pete in 2010 to where you are today? Like what are you trying to accomplish?
I mean, I don't think I really set out trying to accomplish anything. It wasn't probably until COVID hit where I like kind of changed my mindset. Yeah. Before that, it was always just kind of like, oh, this is fun, let's do it. And then 2020 was an awful year. Like, it crushed us. So I was like, maybe I should start putting some plans behind this and do a little bit more with it. So that's kind of when I changed, I think. And now I'd like to build a big entity like you guys are doing, and one day exit and have a happy retirement. But
So are you scaling the bike stuff still? Like, are you getting more bikes? Is it just more customers, higher price point? Like, what does that look like
You're
now?
going to grow through acquisitions. Didn't you make an acquisition recently?
yeah, so the city of Nashville put a cap on all of our bikes in 2016.
Like
so
total amount of bikes that all bike businesses
Probably
can do.
necessary.
it was.
Yeah.
I think it was for.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine.
I think it worked out. I think it kept high demand for everybody that was in the space.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I remember in 2017, there were, I think, 28 applications to start party bike businesses after they put the cap on us.
Yep.
And I was told that Kid Rock was actually one of them. He was going to partner.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That seems like that's on brand.
Yeah, he was going to partner with the owner of Tootsie's, and they were going to start their own bike company. But the city didn't approve anybody else's licenses,
Yeah.
which was fine. But
So the only way to scale now is to acquire or try different things, add-ons to what you're currently doing.
Yeah, and we just acquired the Austin pedal pub business. So that's
We're competitors. We have a franchise there.
yeah, we are.
So wait, Nashville Tour Company is also in Austin? Or-
Now we are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And what is that one? Are you keeping the branding of what they were before, or are you?
we have to. It's a franchise location, so it's pedal pub, and the goal is to do what we're doing in Nashville, just replicate it, add businesses around it, create another structure, and then
It's cool. It's another very good, vibrant market it's very similar to Nashville in a lot of ways.
yeah. And the thing that I like about both markets is there is tons of room for everybody. So you're not fighting tooth and nail over customers. If you just run good business, everybody's gonna
Totally.
do fine. So
I think that can happen anywhere, though.
Well,
Maybe some very small one-offs, but like
There's some markets where it's
Mid-sized
maybe
markets.
it's a party bike thing.
yeah, but mid-sized markets, it's like a pie.
very-
Like if you open up, they're just drinking straight out of your milkshake.
But isn't there enough customers where you guys could all just be happy, or
No.
there's not? It gets
No, not in a small market. Not in
Okay.
not like a
Supply meets
Wilmington, North
demand.
Carolina, or a La Crosse, Wisconsin, or a Madison, Wisconsin. Those mid-sized markets are kind of winner take all because one operator will have enough to make a profitable business, and once they're two, like neither of them are going to make money, right? That's just the way it is with tours.
You got rent, storage, all
Yeah,
that
I'm
expensive
sure
stuff
Pete has
like
seen
that.
that in smaller markets. So.
it happens all the time, and I don't want anything to do with that. I want to go to places where the city is promoting to bring more people in, whether it's to live there or to visit or a conference or a convention. Because the more people you get turning through a city, the more you can just you can focus on what you do, and you don't have to worry about everything else around you. You just build your own thing.
Well, this is a lightning interview, so we wanted to keep it short, which we appreciate. I'm sure we could talk to you for hours. I'm sure.
It was
Yeah,
fun. It
we
was
maybe
good time.
we have you on.
I want to have you on like a real big boy episode.
Yeah, we should do that.
All right.
One thing to leave us with, maybe, like, what's one big thing you've learned in scaling any of those businesses, or something that's really kind of helped you grow, personally or professionally?
Oh man, I
For
think
new entrepreneurs or people trying to grow their business. Yeah,
I think
what's your advice?
two big things is, one, you have to just try things and not be afraid to mess up, because that's you grow by making mistakes and figuring out what needs to be changed. So just go out and do it, and then as you're working with people and bringing on employees and growing your business, you have to make sure that you're kind to everybody and treat everybody fairly and with respect. And as you do that, they treat your business with respect and treat it more as their own. And it's a better customer experience. It's a better work environment. It just helps the business kind of naturally grow as well. So
Cool. Great advice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Pete.
yeah, man.
sweet.
Appreciate you guys.